your whole sphere of influence trust.
Mm.
And you have to
Indeed.
understand that I cherished my reputation, even though it was, it ain't the best of the best.
Mm.
I'm a jackass and an asshole from when I was young too. But once you understand that essentially it's a crucible that you grow into, and that you're here to serve, you don't use this intelligence. You can
Mhm.
become, they're telling us how to use our intelligence in TV shows like, the what is it, Empire and everything. Why we got to use our intelligence to prey upon our own people
Mm.
instead of pray for our people
Right.
to uplift them.
Mm.
So,
Let me.
what I would say to you, beloved brothers, keep doing what you're doing as an elder. I'm in my 70s now,
Mm.
and I'm looking down and I'm saying, well, what the hell is going to happen with all this? Well, I'm glad to say that you guys got hold of the torch, and you all are taking it forward. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you,
I,
sir.
I,
Thank
I,
you.
I want to hurry up. I'm going to move to this next question because we're
Thank you.
moving at a fast rate tonight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I heard a black woman the other day, not the other, probably about 2 weeks ago. She was crying.
Mm.
I don't know the gentleman's name from Memphis. There was a gentleman who recently got killed by the police. It was
Mhm.
all over the. Do any of you know the name Nichols? Or I don't want to
By the
miss.
four black cops, by the four black
Yeah, yeah, by the four. I don't want to mispronounce his name.
Tyree
Tyree
Nichols.
Nichols,
Tyree
something like that.
Nicholson, I think. Yeah,
I
Tyree.
apologize. I apologize for not knowing his name and mentioning him, but yeah. So she was crying about the situation, and she was saying, "God, why does God like? It's a hell of an experience being black in this realm. Like, if you're black, you're just like, God damn, when does it end?
Mhm.
Generation after, like Billy just talked about his father being killed by police.
Yeah.
Billy know what I'm talking about, and I'm sorry to bring
Oh
that up,
yeah.
Billy,
I
but
know.
it's like
Yeah.
when does this end?
Right.
So I was thinking I was trying to think from a quantum perspective and not from a reactionary, angry perspective. And I had the thought, I said, if they, just being metaphysical myself, and they say we're a walking universe and there's a universe inside of us, if ourselves are sentient, and sentient means being able to perceive or feel things, and we treat our body the way we do, we don't look at ourselves as being sentient. We abuse our bodies,
Mhm.
and our cells are probably screaming, please stop this shit. Why are you doing this again? Why are you doing that again? Oh my God, this shit is crazy. Why is God treating us like this? So I'm thinking to myself, maybe God, because this is supposed to be an illusion, this is Maya. The ancients had many names for this realm. It's
Mhm.
not supposed to be real. Maybe God looks at us, we're screaming, God, I'm black. Why do you treat black people like this? God's
Mhm.
like, this is an illusion, nigga. Concentrating on I'm not concentrating on that. We treat ourselves a certain way in our body.
Yeah.
Maybe God treats us the same way
You
that
something
Right.
we
else,
treat.
boy. I'm telling you. Then God turned and said, "Nigga, this is an illusion, nigga. What you crying to me for?"
Talk to me. Talk to me about God treating us the same way
I
we
mean,
treat ourselves.
I'll answer this one, then I gotta
Yeah.
gracefully bow out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's too funny. There's an old parable in the Bible, and I'm an expert on this Bible. I
Yeah.
read everything. I probably
Mm,
read that book over 100 times. But
mm,
there's a parable in the Bible where Jesus is out talking to his disciples, and a few other people had locally
mm,
gathered by him. And there's some old structures a few feet away, kind of across the street, and some women are walking by. It's a very windy and gusty day. As they're walking by these dilapidated structures, the wind is blowing. Some stones from the top of this building fall and
mm,
crush the women while they're walking by. The first thing the disciples said, the same thing this lady said, "Oh my goodness, why would God do that?" And another disciple said, "They must have been with sin." And Jesus looked at them in so many words to sum it up. He said, "No, man, they were just in the wrong place at the wrong
Wrong
time."
time.
You know what I'm saying?
mm, mm, mm,
You got, and so what that tells me is, it's not, oh, God's doing this to teach this lesson, and He's doing that, and this and that. I think that we're living in my personal opinion, this is a fractal holographic universe. We're in a matrix, I believe.
mm,
The matrix is imbued with divine light, divine photons, And energetically, we're all imbued with this divine nature, but also there's this yin and this yang, and there's also something in this universe called entropy. And you learned about this in physics, and entropy is when things move from an ordered state to a disordered state. Second law of thermodynamics, right? And so everything, we found that entropy is even in your body, because you are born and then you grow up and then you live and then your body begins to decay and then you begin to die. Cells don't replicate the proper way. DNA doesn't replicate properly. Your telomeres run out of buffer material and then you pass away. That's entropy. Entropy is in everything. It's in structures. If you have build a structure and you don't take care of that structure, you come back in 50, 100 years, that structure is going to be falling apart. If you don't cut your grass, it's going to get weeds in it. That's all entropy. And so in this program that we're living in, which is, I believe it's one of these things where you turn it on and this mass consciousness is trying to extrapolate every dimension all the way down. We know that, we don't know, it's a theory, but that there's 11 dimensions. Also, scientists in 2022 just discovered that the brain perceives in 11. Now, they factually have been able to do this experiment over and over again, that the brain is actually perceiving in 11 dimensions, which is incredible because the theory of 11-dimensional universe is matching now what the brain is perceiving. And so all of a sudden, I believe that we're a fractal of the whole. The whole thing has been turned on, and now we're living through this experience in this avatar body, collecting information, sending it back to source. What is it like to live in the third dimension? And this thing is just on its own wavelength. It's moving and it's changing and evolving moment by moment. And so right now I can jump up from this microphone and run out of the room and there'll be an empty seat here with the microphone and I'll be gone. Or I can sit here and I can continue to talk. So each one of those decisions has a consequence. In the Kemetic principles, that's the principle of cause and effect. So every decision you make is going to have an actual consequence, whether it's a good consequence or a bad consequence. If I make a decision to run out of here, hop in my car and race down the street, I might crash into something tonight. That's a consequence based on the decision that I make. See, so just because things happen to people, the kid decided to go to this particular location at this particular time. At the same time, these cops show up. These cops are now, they're agents of the Matrix. They're soulless avatars operating purely on Matrix programming code, from epigenetics all the way back to everything you can think about, the programming coming in from the media growing up, the programming coming in from their own parents growing up, and the outside sources, all that programming, turn these people into soulless avatars. The police departments know they're soulless avatars because they only hire people with no souls. Woo! That is what the whole psychological battery exam is all about.
That's what it's about.
Looking for people that will take any order you give them, and they know they have no soul. They will kill a person, a kid, a child, and go home and kiss their baby and lay down. That's a soulless avatar. Operating purely on the Matrix program code. That's it. That's all they hire. They don't hire anything else. If you seem like you have any sense of empathy on that psychological battery exam, you're not going to get hired. If you look like you might not take an order, direct order, and execute a direct order, you won't get hired. So this poor kid happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, driving where he was going, and these soulless avatars, he ran into them, and that ended up being his fate. Now, due to my belief in reincarnation, I mean, that kid is already back in one form of energy or another and it could be in any dimension, any time frame, because past, present, and future exist at once in higher dimensions. It could be in the future. He could be in the past. It could be a different gender by now. We don't even know. It could be a blade of grass. But the thing is, at that particular moment, his energy that was being held into his corporeal body was released and transmitted in somewhere else in the universe.
Okay. That's great. That makes a lot of sense. I'd like to pick up on your anthropic theme, because encoded in every part of us in third density is chaos. The chaos seed is there. In my new book that I'm writing called the Quantum, talking about Earth, and what I find in chaos is it's a necessary component, because with each incarnation, it brings it back to the raw material for you with your new experience to actually carve out something brand new. In other words, that's what the steps of the root races are about, from the first all the way to the sixth, which we are the sixth root race at this point, transiting to the seventh. And so chaos has to come because it provides us the canvas upon which we as new beings come in to actually exercise what it is that we didn't do before. What can we do better to advance this particular programming called the avatar of God? And so as we take on the physical form, it has a beginning, quote unquote. It has a peak, and then it has a drop off point, as you said, towards the end into entropy. That entropy, again, is a recycling because we are always in movement. There is no backward movement. There's always a forward movement and a forward momentum in the consciousness of humanity. So, yes, I see exactly what you're talking about. And just to kind of wrap this up so that we don't want to hold you any for, I'm not taking over your spot, Brother Rich, but I just wanted to kind of encapsulate this, that what you're speaking about as far as circumstances that happen, you happen to be in that space in that time. You'll have to also look at your thought process. What was your thought process like? What were the women's thought processes like? Because your thought, as we teach in our universe, that thought has as a mechanism a compass that guides you to where the actual programming in the thought is due for expression. So if you have, say, for instance, a hostile feeling in your job and you hate this person and, oh, I wish I could just, cold cock them, just do something to them. What happens is that feeling builds up and that thought guides you to the point where you're going to manifest that feeling. The thought feeds on that emotional signature. And so what happens? You say, well, I'm going to take a visit of vacation. I'm going to get away from this fool and I'm going to go ahead and go to Timbuktu someplace. And I'm going to go ahead and say, to hell with these people. I hate them still, but I'm going to go over here. But when you go over there, you say, Timbuktu. And you step off the curb and get hit by a truck. What you don't understand is that the particular energy that you now evoked for completion visited you. Because you did not have the way to displace that into a positive return. All you did was have that person as the target of your pain and of your suffering, and so that target, you became the target of the pain and suffering. So as I say to brothers and sisters, clock your thoughts every now and then. Do an inventory of your thinking process. Write down what it is that you feel someone did to you, or so forth. And you'll find out that the person that you think is persecuting you is actually you, because after you leave that person, it's your thought process that connects you to that moment. And so what happens to you? You're suffering for something that person really don't even give a damn. They're not even thinking about you. You're thinking about them and suffering because of what you feel they did to you. So you have to now monitor your thinking process. I tell my students to write down all the things that they feel have become challenges to them, to their sleep, to their peace of mind, to all of these things, and then actually examine that to see whether or not it's you that's putting all the power of that pain into that.
Excellent. Hey, Billy, I know you got to go real quick before you leave, my brother. This is a quote. This is actually a question. This is a quote you said on another show that I wanted to ask you about. You can answer this, then you could get out of here before Dr. Valentine goes in on it. You said there's nothing solid until consciousness interacts with an electromagnetic wave and it collapses it into a particle. What I want to talk to you about. So you gave an example. I think you gave an example of a home.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at my home. My home collapses back to a waveform, and it doesn't exist until I look back at it. What I want to ask you, Billy, I got to inject a little bit of humor in it. Nigga, does that apply to my son? If I'm not looking at my son, is he a wave? Like,
actually, yes.
He's a perception in your own mind.
Like, is my son a waveform, Billy? Come on, Billy, don't tell me.
He's a wave. Yeah. We found through quantum physics and quantum mechanics that all matter exists as waves first.
Even if they have a soul, even if the matter has a soul,
even if they have a soul,
before they become a particle.
Yes, before they become a particle. It's all electromagnetic frequencies. Now, so it's called wave particle duality in physics, right? Wave particle duality. And in 2015, they took the very first image of a wave converting into a particle. They caught it mid-conversion.
Yeah.
It's on physics.org.
Yes.
They discovered this. They saw the conversion process happening. They had done the double slit experiment many thousands of times and realized that when you're not looking, it's waves. And when you are looking, it converts into particles. For those of you who want to go research the double slit experiment, you'll find out more about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then they discovered a way to observe the conversion process from a wave into a particle. And they now know that everything in the entire universe exists in superposition of each other.
Yes.
So, and what that means is every potential probability exists before it actually happens and collapses into our reality. It exists as probabilities through waves. Waves of what? Waves of light. Light waves that the human being eye can pick up, because these waves are at different frequencies. The human eye only picks up 1% of the light spectrum, actually slightly less than 1%. We can't see gamma rays, we can't see X-rays, we can't see ultraviolet, infrared, and so forth and so on. But the lights, we mostly see red, blue, and green. RGB is what we mostly see. And from there, you can extrapolate, all the colors of the rainbow. But that these electromagnetic waves exist. But what's really interesting is that every time they do this test, they discover that conscious observation of a wave will then collapse it into the particle that it's supposed to be. Right. Which goes for every atom that exists in the entire universe. So that means you're made of atoms. I'm made of. Your sun is made of atoms. He exists as waves of potential until a conscious observer, including himself, collapses it. Now the collapse is so instantaneous we can't even perceive it, but it is a wave particle duality. Research that, and you'll find out that I'm giving actual science fact.
Indeed, and he's talking about the collapse. The speed is the speed of thought. And you have to understand that thought is the glue that coagulates and gives us, and that's the mind of God working through us. The mind of God collapsing and using the vision, because you remember your sight, sound, smell, and taste are not just incidentals. They are the base of the pyramid of life. The pineal is that eye that is above the pineal. Now, what you're looking at is fire, air, water, and earth, sight, sound, smell, and taste. Each one of these elements that you see, the four elements, are the word of God. That's the W-O-R-D, is the fire, air, water, and earth made flesh. What happens is when you are looking at something, these things are actually living principles of elements. They're conscious as themselves. When these four elements, which are the word of God, are now fixed into the avatar of God, they're not only conscious as themselves, because when they're conscious as themselves, fire doesn't know what water is, water don't know what earth is, and so forth. But when they become part of this coagulating mechanism that takes waves into particles, they become conscious of themselves. And what you are conscious of physically is based upon how the word made flesh processes consciousness in third density. So your fire, air, water, and earth, or the force, what they call the four elements, which is the four senses, there are no five senses. The fifth sense is touch, which is actually something that happens only when you have, it's not conscious of itself. What is conscious of themselves are fire, air, water, and earth. These are the four living principles, the word of God. And what you are collapsing into the physical flesh is the mechanism that the Creator gave you in order to be a creator in third density.
Indeed. All right. So let's continue. My brother Billy.
Let's free our brother. Yes.
brother Billy had to go while he didn't know when he was gonna stop, but brother Billy had to get out of. He had to catch that flight, so we're gonna keep going. Dr. Valentine, let me ask you about this, my brother. I mean, first of all, I want to tell everybody, make sure y'all sign up to Dr. Valentine's workshop he got coming up. I mean, I'm totally excited about it, and the ideas you're gonna present to the people in terms of flat Earth and the way the universe is structured. I think that is beautiful. Tell the people how they can sign up for that again before we continue.
Well, what we would ask them to do is to go to our university's website. By the way, we're starting our new semester for the spring semester on March the 4th. So if you want to sign up, just go to www.uksnow.org. That's U as in United, K as in King, S as in Science, NOW.org. And on that same site, you can sign up into our mailing list by going to where it says contact. Click where it says contact and just fill out the form that will put you directly onto our mailing list, and then we'll send out information directly to you when we're going to have that particular webinar. The other thing too is that if you wish to sign up for our upcoming program, our upcoming semester, then you just click where it says registration, fill out the form, and in that last box, just put registering for MPSY, which is Metaphysical Psychology 1, the spring semester, 2023. And then our administrative assistant will be in contact with you. The other thing is that if you wish to get in contact with me directly so that we could deal with any of our services, you can call 800-847-1291. Again, 800-847-1291. And you know the other services that we have
Yeah.
that we deal with against that type of attack.
Y'all know what we're talking about. Y'all know
Yeah,
what we're talking
and
about.
then consciousness as well. I'm dealing with private consultations, health consultations, and the whole 9 yards. We have and if you also interested, I think I gave brother Rich the number to call for our ISM for homeschooling, because they're actually attacking our children in school. We tend to take their minds. So we've had this online institute for young people starting at age 6 or 7, depending on the child's aptitude at age 6. And we do have fantastic teachers. If you want your children to be taught at home and homeschooled the right way, with the right culture, with the right mentality, then check out ismhomeschool.org. ISM, that's Institute for Self Mastery, ismhomeschool.org. And if you're interested again, just call 800-847-1291. Thank you, Brother Rich.
Indeed. I know we've been on here for 2 hours, so I just
Whoa.
got a couple of more, 2 more questions before you get out of here, Doc.
Okay.
You've been on here a while. I want to appreciate Doc. Billy just had to skate. I tell y'all he had a flight to catch. So
Yeah.
shout out to Billy for participating in tonight's discussion.
Indeed.
Absolute amazing discussion. I'm thankful to be a part of history tonight and be a part of this conversation. I want to continue this conversation, Doc. We're talking about viewing things from a quantum perspective,
Right.
and there's a lot of talk about grounding, and grounding is going to be, I feel as though just like meditation became popular in the